What's up, guys? Dwight with Defying Finance. I'm not going to be able to look at the camera here. I'm actually driving. But anyway, I wanted to talk about Celsius Network and kind of what's going on there. I wanted to wait to make a video to see what other clarity we can get here. And I think it's pretty clear at this point what's really happening. And I have to look at Twitter here, and there are a lot of people freaking out. They have their money in Celsius. They're pissed off. I don't blame them, but at the same time, these people do not understand what they're even talking about. They have no idea what they even got involved with, right? Now, I really, really like Celsius. I think Alex is a great guy. I think he's trying to run a real business here. We had pulled most of our money out of there already. As you know, if you watch my other videos, I believed that we were going into a recession. So I sold out of almost all of my crypto. I kept some because I rebought back in at low prices. As these sell-offs continue, I slowly pick away at it, but I don't think we're near the bottom yet. But I am picking away on huge sell-off days, just because it could turn around quickly. Or maybe you get, a quick little bull trap that I could sell into, make some more money on. But with these types of things, you just don't know, right? It could just completely rip. Well, I don't care if you get a 10x gain on it, then great, I'll sell out. But I think we got a long way to go down overall in the market. I would be looking at strategic locations. That's what I'm doing, at least. Looking at technical points. For example, it looked like if you go back and you look at the Bitcoin charts that I put up a while ago, you can see what I typed on there. I mean, it's playing out exactly like I said I'd be concerned about. We jumped right down to the $20,000 range. Like, all my notes are on there. You can go back and watch the video and pause it and read the notes on the screen. But it looks as if many of these cryptos, they're at perfect locations at a technical standpoint to start accumulating. The problem is the macroeconomics that are happening right now. I still think stocks are going to continue to sell off. There are companies that are, their PE ratios are getting better and better. There might be some that are ready to buy right now, but ultimately we have this inflation issue that I think is going to keep weighing on the economy. The Fed isn't ready to pivot yet on that. I think they're going to continue going this direction, but that's going to weigh down on crypto, which could cause bigger problems for Celsius. But here's the deal. All that is happening with Celsius is it's a liquidity issue. That's the deal. This is a classic run on the bank. All these people out there that are complaining about, I can't get my money out, blah, 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 blah. This is no different. Like, go to your bank right now. I dare you. Go to your bank right now and tell them you want to pull out $10,000 cash, right? Most likely, you're going to have to wait a couple days. I went to the bank. I tried to pull out like 63 grand. It took them a week to get me my cash, right? That's your bank. They're backed by the Federal Reserve, right? Yeah, there's depositors insurance and stuff, but they're backed by the Federal Reserve Bank, and it still takes that long to get your cash. Now with Celsius, the reason you put your crypto, your currency, whatever you have in there, the reason you put it in there is to collect interest. How do you think interest comes about? It's because they're lending this out. They're lending it out to Coinbase. They're lending it out to Binance. It's like the repo market, right? It's interbank lending, for example. If Wells Fargo wants to lend to Bank of America at 0.25% interest for 5 days or something to help them cover some transactions, or they want to lend to Schwab or whatever to help settle some trades, right? That's where your income comes from in Celsius. So let's say Celsius lent out, I don't know, $1 billion worth of crypto to cover specific types of trades or whatever Coinbase needed at that time, right? Coinbase can borrow that from Celsius at X interest rate, whatever it is, and then you get a cut of that when it comes back. But when that crypto is at Coinbase, if everybody shows up to pull it out at once, your crypto's not there. It's lent out, right? You lent your crypto to them at a rate of, or at least a hopeful rate of return, right? A reward, whatever they want to call it. I don't even think they're allowed to call it interest. They have to call it yield. That's what's happening. That's it, right? Now, I'm not saying Celsius can't fail because of how it's set up. I mean, I think, here's the deal. Most banks would have failed in the last probably couple sell-offs we have. They would have already closed the doors. They wouldn't have lasted as long as Celsius did. So that's saying something right there. You have, what is it, Nexios trying to put in an offer to buy them. You think they're going to buy them if they think they're totally, insolvent and they're going to fail? Of course not, right? There's blood in the water right now. Their competition is looking at it like opportunity. I mean, maybe he's out there trying to get loans. Sorry, I have my retainers in. I'm lisping all over the place. But he could be out at a bank trying to get loans to try to cover some of this stuff. I don't know, but I doubt these banks are going to loan to him. Yes, they want to make interest on it, but they may not loan to him. And you're talking about a company that's their competition, that's just absolutely wrecking these banks. A guy who wears a shirt that says, banks are not your friends. I highly doubt that banks are going to lend him anything, right? So we'll see what happens. I put a post on Twitter. Maybe Elon Musk will loan them something like some sort of bridge loan to get them through this. But Celsius technically probably could fail if this many people try to draw all their money out. But ultimately, it shouldn't fail. I don't know what they're going to come up with, what their strategy is going to be. Maybe they start allowing, 5% withdrawals a day, or I don't know. They just need to slow that down and then not lend out anymore to these platforms. But if they don't lend out to these platforms, they also need to cut that interest rate for everybody across the board, because if they're not lending out, there's no interest coming in, right? That just makes sense. Now, there are a lot of private loans out there, people who, borrowed against their own crypto, so it is collateralized. Those people still have the loans. That is what it is. So I don't think Celsius is going to fail. It's not that it can't, but there is just straight panic going on in the market right now. In crypto, in stocks, like this isn't over. We haven't even seen the massive down days in stocks yet. Right? This is really just getting started. I have orders in for Cardano at 4 cents. Okay, I think we're going that low on a lot of these. So as I said, I pulled a lot of my money out of crypto, and actually almost all of it out. And I just have it in dollars sitting in Coinbase. Now, I could have a problem if Coinbase fails, right? Any company that goes bankrupt, your dollars would be at risk. If Schwab went bankrupt, your dollars are at risk. But the point is, I keep those dollars because I want that dry powder in a time like this. Come on, guys. Most of this all started in 2008. A lot of us who got involved in this, we understood what was going on in the banking system, the Federal Reserve Bank. We understood the bubble, but people got caught up in the hype that, they were gold bugs that switched to crypto, and, there were people who made a lot of money. But this is like what happened in the housing bubble. It was easy to see all these NFTs and this garbage going on. Think about it. On that Steppen app, I was making $3,500 a day, right? Like, that's not even real. That's crazy talk. But this is where this stuff goes. That's why you have to be removing some of your liquidity from the market. Yes, of course, it would have been amazing to be in Bitcoin when it was $1, $100, $300, $500. That would have been amazing. But, some of those runs may be over. I don't know. But the important thing to know is many projects are going to fail. I've talked about this over and over, way before I ever even started this YouTube channel. Many of these projects, they're going to fail. So you better find projects that have incredible teams, and incredible teams may still fail. Right? There's going to be businesses failing. In the economic times that we're in right now, there's going to be a lot of them. There's a lot more layoffs coming for sure. You may not see as large as numbers as we had in 2008 because a lot of people weren't working. Right? They made their money in crypto or they retired early or something. Well, they're coming back into the market. right? And all those jobs are going to start disappearing. So many of you heard about Coinbase axing off 18% of their workforce. I was actually going to apply for them, but they axed, some accountant positions. I was applying for Celsius. I did apply there, but they didn't really have an accountant position open. It was just a broad application that they would contact you if something did open. But I don't know if they're going to be hiring anytime soon. Anyway, the point is, this is a simple liquidity issue. And looking at the comments through Twitter, it tells me that there are a lot of people waiting for those gates to open, and they are going to be just ripping money out of Celsius. So I don't know. I mean, I have family members who have money in there. Maybe we are going to take some out, but they're not accredited investors. So you take that out, I mean, you're never coming back into Celsius, right? Because you're not collecting interest. At least if you're a U.S. customer, right? It's a different story maybe if you're from somewhere else. But you're not going to collect that interest anyway. So you have to consider that as well. If you're serious about Celsius, you have to say, well, those customers probably aren't coming back because they're not going to get anything, right? We don't know what regulations are coming down on crypto. We know it's going to be tough, and Celsius decided to make this decision, I assume, because there's probably some sort of chatter. I know they had their issue with the SEC, and that's not even finalized, right? So we don't know if their attorneys were telling them, hey, let's go ahead and take this step. It'll look good. We don't know those types of details, right? And even if I was working for them, I couldn't tell you those types of details. I'd have a non-disclosure agreement in the accounting department because I'd be looking at all their financials, right? But this is a simple run-on-the-bank situation. You're lending your coins out to them to go re-lend them out to get you yield. Or maybe they're staking it on something, depending on the project. Like they could take Cardano and put it on some sort of node, stake it or delegate it to a node and collect interest. Like obviously those coins aren't going to be an issue. You could pull them off anytime and get some of that back. But it's a run on the bank. This is what happens, right? This is like Greece. And they can fail. And by the looks of what everybody's saying on Twitter, it's becoming more and more possible that that's the case. But I hope that's not the case, because this is an incredible company. But people are just pissed off. They want their money, and I think it's telling to see how quickly people turn on each other, right? All of a sudden they just absolutely hate Alex. You're not supporting the community and this and that. You know what? I'm just going to be straightforward. That is completely selfish. And I know it's your money that's in there, but think about it this way. If I pulled all my money out first, there'd be nothing left for you. So you're only saying that right now because you think you could get your money out before the next guy does. That's it. But the reality is, you won't know. But if you ever do get your money back, it's probably because they did shut this down so everybody didn't go ripping their tokens out of there, right? Because the big guys probably would have won, all right? Remember, with crypto, this is incredibly fast. I could send $1 billion across the world in seconds, okay? So think about if a couple really, really big players that are sitting in Celsius said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get all my Bitcoin out or Ethereum out or Cardano out. Well, if they do that transaction first, they're taking the largest part of that supply that's sitting in Celsius. And guess who's holding the bag? You. So be careful what you wish for, because if they open those floodgates, you're probably the person that's going to lose. So you better be hoping that they do some sort of limit withdrawals, so you could get some of yours out slowly and everybody's limited, so the big guys don't just absolutely wreck this whole thing. For all we know, we might find out some really, really big players, maybe some sort of banks we weren't aware about or aware of, were also in Celsius, and they could have been part of this. Maybe they started withdrawing as much as they could to cause this issue. I'm not exactly sure. Of course, nobody's going to know that, right? That'd be really interesting to find out. Maybe there's a forensics accounting you could kind of dig through on this. But Cell token is getting crushed. I need to make another video on that. But just to mention briefly, Just remember, prices in crypto are fake. They're garbage. They mean nothing in market cap. See, people just, they don't get this, okay? Think about this for a second. If most of Cell token is locked in Celsius, then the only Cell token that's out there, like I have some Cell token that's sitting in my MetaMask wallet, right? That's not connected to that. I could sell it right now in Uniswap, and I'd be setting the price for Celsius, for Cell token at least. I'd be setting that price for the entire world if I was the only seller and there was only one buyer. That's incredibly low volume. That's how these prices are set, you see? So, for example, let's say there's a neighborhood and there's, I don't know, 10,000 homes in this huge neighborhood, all right? And let's say right now everything's worth $100,000 and you want to sell your house. Yesterday, there was a sale for $110,000. Same house, everything's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And then there's another house for $110,000, another house for $110,000. They just reset the entire market for all 10,000 of those homes at a 10% increase. Now, is that realistic? No, it's not. Right? The question is, could you sell your home tomorrow for $110,000? No. There's no guarantee of that, right? What if you sell it for $105,000? Well, maybe it averages out. Now you have a few homes that sold at $110,000. Yours is at $105,000. Maybe the next offer for the next home for sale is at $109,000 or $108,000, right? The point is, if everybody in that housing community all of a sudden said, hey, you know what? I can make a 10% return on my house. Let me sell it. And everybody and their mother's thinking about the same exact thing, and they all list their homes for sale, guess what? None of them are worth $110,000. It's going to fall through the floor. That's how crypto works. It's the same concept. When you hear about on-chain dynamics and all this type of junk, that's incredible with crypto. You can see this stuff pouring onto exchanges, right? That probably means there's going to be a ton of selling. That could be a sign, right? If you're really paying attention to that stuff. But my point is, those few buyers and sellers set the price for everything. So this is no different than the housing market back in 2008, when everybody thought they were filthy rich because their home's equity was through the roof. They get to look at it on paper and say, oh, look at this. I'm up $500,000. I'm rich. I'd always said, touch it. Go ahead, touch it. Let's see if you can touch it. And they couldn't. All they could do is pull out a home equity line of credit, and maybe that wouldn't have been a bad move at low enough interest rate if they had bought some investment property somewhere, that maybe in Kentucky, right? The prices aren't fluctuating like crazy. So maybe that would have been a good move, but most people aren't going to do that. They were buying boats and all kinds of garbage. So they're looking at their crypto and they're saying, oh, wow, I'm worth X amount of money, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, touch it. Go ahead. Pull it out and see what happens. You see, everybody's afraid of the whales, but in reality, the little guy has it better than the whale, because you don't need a lot of liquidity to get out. This is exactly what I did with STEPN. I was selling every single day. Yeah, I could have held on some and made some more, but I knew that overall, there has to be value coming in to get what I want out, okay? That's the liquidity issue. And if you just keep holding and holding in there, you think, oh yeah, it'll be coming. Let's say all of a sudden you have $150,000. Okay, try to get it out. What if there's only $100,000 coming in? You're not getting $150,000 out. You're only getting $100,000 worth out, and you might be the one that sets that new price. So all of a sudden, what you thought you had $150,000 drops 33%. You only have $100,000. You just set that price on that sell. This is why limit orders and stuff like that are important when you're doing bigger sales. If you're a small fish, then you just do market orders. Or if you're just selling a little bit, you just do market orders and wipe out that book. But this is all that's happening in Celsius. Now, I'm really curious to see what plays out, but people are going to cause this themselves. They're going to be panicking. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to make a big black eye on the crypto world. this as the perfect opportunity for politicians to come in that are against this, right? They're going to come in and say, oh, you see why we need to regulate these types of places more. This is ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. It's going to hurt everybody. So, you know, if there's blood in the water right now, and you're, you know, some of these other companies that are Celsius's competition, I'd be thinking twice about what you say about Celsius or whatever. There's some other great companies out there too, but I would be very careful, because whatever you do to bash your competition right now, you're only hurting yourself and everybody else that's involved in crypto. Okay, because they're coming after you next. Okay, it's not like you're gonna win this and come out and buy them out and solve all the problems. No, if this fails, they're coming after you too. Whatever regulation they put in, it's going to crush your company. So, you know, don't get too excited. You may have more market share for a very, very short time. But, you know, I have to say, you know, Alex Manchinski has a pretty incredible name, you know, just in tech in general. So if he ends up getting slaughtered and you're a nobody starting one of these crypto companies, don't think for a second you're going to have any clout before some sort of Senate hearing or something where you get to stand there and, you know, make the stand for crypto. You're just going to get crushed, right? So I'm all for the industry, but as I said a long time ago, heavy regulation is coming. I'd mentioned before, me and Joseph Wang talked about this. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. We talked about this at lunch back at Rebel Capitalist Live, and you know, we had the same thoughts that heavy regulation is coming. But anyway, I don't think it is that big of a deal, or it would have been that big of a deal, but people are panicking because the whole market's getting slaughtered. Everybody wants to sell, which is also telling me we may be coming real close to a bottom. I think it's going to happen incredibly fast. So if you were wise, you had your money out, you got that dry powder ready to go, I'd be putting in some limit orders right now. Look at your charts, try to find the best places to put those orders in. Know that whales are going to have them there too, so you might have to go in a little bit higher than them to try to swing those before they fill all the orders. But I think some big sellings coming right now. If you're a little guy, you're kind of better off because you're going to fill some of those orders. A big guy, they end up filling the entire sell order before it ever gets to you. So you're kind of better off. But anyway, I'm going to head out. I might make another video later tonight just on the market in general. And have a good one.